All right, today's guest is Drayden Bell from University of Alabama. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, man?
Good, good. Hey, thanks for doing this. Nice to meet you, and just wanted to learn about you and figure out what's going on in your life, man. And you going into your what junior year at Alabama?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Tell us about that. Tell us about your experience at Alabama so far.
Man, it's been a roller coaster, but I've loved every single second of it. From the moment I stepped foot on campus, me and my parents looked at each other and was like, this is the place. The team chemistry is something that I haven't even seen at any other college. The coaches, they have extreme unique style of coaching that I haven't seen anywhere else, and I completely love it, especially our new coaches. Coach Mike, we just added Kay DeLoof onto our coaching staff, so that's going to
Mm.
be pretty exciting to see what she can add onto our system. But every single coach adds a little different aspect that I just completely love. But
Oh, that's
yeah, I
very
wouldn't.
cool. I
Yep.
didn't realize that about Katie DeLoof. I didn't know she was done and gone into coaching. That's cool.
Oh yeah, like literally just happened. Like we got the text message like I think yesterday or the day before that she was getting
Wow,
added on. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, sprinter as well, so it's good for you, man.
oh yeah.
Now, listen, you said something that was interesting there because a lot of kids that might be listening to this, going to choose their colleges. You said something about standing up on the in the college for the first time. Hang on a second, I'm gonna hit pause. Okay, so that question again before we had some technical issues right there. So you said something about walking on campus and just knowing with your parents. For those kids that are out there looking at colleges, how do you know that feeling? What's the difference between going to another college and then walking onto this one at Alabama and saying this is the one?
Well, for me personally, it was I'm from Kansas, from the Midwest, so I'm
Uh-huh.
used to like cloudy skies, flat land. So I come to Alabama, and there's a whole bunch of green and stuff like that. I love the South, so that was one of the things, just the geography of the school, just knowing where I was at, and then also um, I knew no matter where I was going to go, athletically, I was always going to be taken care of. They were going to give
Mm,
me the best that they were possibly able to. So I
mhm,
had to think of outside the boxes. So when it came to the academics, what's around the school, like
mhm,
just different events that go on in the school. And um, I went to three other schools. I won't say the other ones right now, but at
mhm.
Alabama, um, well, I'll start with the other two. The other two said, like, one was like, we don't necessarily have the major that you want, but we can put you here, and then you can
Right.
kind of like, it was kind of like a tree effect. Like we can get you there, but it's not a straight line.
Mm,
The other school was good, but it was kind of a little bit smaller. There wasn't as much stuff to do, in my opinion, and it just wasn't overall. It was just like I was getting mixed vibes with it. Versus here, literally sat down with the academic advisor, told her what I wanted to do with my life, and she said, "Oh yeah, we can take you there like this, but you got to put in the work." And
mm.
that single line right there, we can take you anywhere. You got to put in the work. That's what clicked. Me and my mom looked at each other and were like, "Yeah, this. There's a reason why they said legends are made here in Alabama."
That's cool. That's cool. What do you want to do with your life?
So initially, I wanted to start with. I'm a kinesiology major. I
Uh-huh.
want to go. Sorry, but kinesiology major. I wanted to start out with some strength and conditioning, maybe come back, get a master's in sports management. I look up to Greg Byrne, maybe become an AD, but I also look up to a bunch of social media content people. You can see my content, but I also
Mhm.
want to start going into like the teaching young swimmers and just swimmers in general stuff about overall stuff they can do outside of the water that can improve themselves, mainly in the sprinting, because I'm a sprinter. I like
Yeah.
sprinting, and
Mhm.
then kind of show people how those exercises can be adapted into the water. Because you can be as strong as you want outside of the water, but if you can't convert that into the water, like
Right.
there's no point at
Right.
all.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff, man. It sounds like you've got your head on your shoulders pretty early on, and you know what you want to do with your life, and you got a pretty clear direction. That's awesome. Tell us about your family. How'd you grow up, man?
I mean, I had a huge support system back at home. I mean, you always have your struggles and your little family feuds every now and then with your parents, but I mean, they never left my side, dude, and I can forever be grateful for both of them. My mom, professor at Wichita State,
Mm,
exercise physiologist, doctorate in human performance studies. So a lot of the stuff that I did, it's because I saw her in her career, seeing all this, and I was like, I want to do something like that. And then my
mm,
dad, he works out in Coca-Cola Industries over there in Kansas, but a lot of the hard work that I put in as a kid, I always got to, I always have to put a side note for him because he, throughout middle school and throughout high school, and even today, he tries to call me and helps me with stuff, even though he knows I have all the coaches in the world. But yeah, just like every single day, like there was a moment where he would like make sure that I was awake for the morning practice, and if I didn't have morning practice, he would still wake me up and say, "Let's go hit the gym, boy. We gotta get that work in. You got places to be. You want dreams." Yeah, so extremely grateful for both of them.
It sounds like you're really big on accepting coaching too. Like that's a big part of growth, isn't it? It's a big part of getting to where you want to be. I think is being coachable. How is it that you're so coachable?
I've had a wide variety of coaches, man. I mean, I've had coaches that I did like. I have coaches that I didn't like. I had coaches that had different training styles. One doesn't yell at you, but they'll say scary stuff in a normal tone, which I don't know how people even do that in the first place. And then you got your football style of coaches where they're yelling every single second. And if you break down, then you're just out of there. So, I mean, just growing up in an environment where you have all sorts of coaches, you just learn to like being able to engage and know what they want when they want it.
Hmm.
Well, just more of a like being able to listen and accept like know what to dissect from them. So
Mm.
and plus, having those two styles of parents, they really like also drill it in your head like how to like just learn from other people and stuff. So
Right.
yeah.
You played other sports growing up as well, I imagine.
Yeah, I was a dual athlete in high school. I did swim and track. And then, growing up, basketball, flag football, soccer.
Mm. So I did a little bit of track too when I was in high school, and I enjoyed sprinting in the pool, but I actually was better equipped at kind of like the 800, 1500, based on all the work that we would do in the pool. What kind of track athlete were you?
I was the jumper and sprints. So my
Mm,
primaries were high jump, triple. I would have been long jump, but we had a better long jumper on the team, so they moved me to the triple. And then for sprints, I was 4x1 and the 400.
wow. What did you enjoy watching more at the Olympics, the swimming or the track?
Ooh, ooh, I don't know, man. That's. I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, swim versus the track. I mean, you always, the sprints, the 100 free was insane to watch, especially with Pan going that 46.4. That was
Hmm.
just nuts. And then the battle of Ben Proud and Cam McAvoy. I thought Ben was going to get that until the last 15, and I saw Cam coming back home. But
Mm,
then you also got the track boys. Noah Lyles went in by 5 thousandths of a second,
mm.
um, which is just insane to think about. And then I was really looking forward to that high jump. Mutaz had to get injured though. That's my favorite high jumper. I've been watching him for years now. But I mean, they're both are just phenomenal athletes on both sides, man.
What's your opinion on Noah Lyles in terms of how he approaches his racing? Right, he's very flamboyant. He's out there. He's outspoken, and he's not shy of kind of backing himself. How's your feelings on that?
Oh, I love it. I love it, dude. I mean, I'm always so there's confidence and then there's arrogance.
Hmm.
He's extremely confident in my side. People will call him arrogant. It's like, dude, you barely won. It was like, but he won.
Yeah.
So you can't take that, like, you're going to take that away because you won. And there's that NBA versus Noah Lyles stuff. And I mean, in my opinion, I feel like Noah's completely right. I mean, to put world champions on your head when your affiliation is only located in the United States. Yes, you may have international, but you're coming to the U.S. to or like play basketball. So are you really world champions at that point? Like now, yes, USA can say they're world champions because they just won the biggest stage in the next 4 years. But versus Noah Lyles, he competes with the world's hardest people every single track meet, and they're representing their countries every single time. So to me, that's like, yeah, he's the world's fastest man. He's, yeah, like the way that he presents himself, I feel like there's a lot of people that should maybe not be as flashy, but you need to go into a track meet or a swim meet being as confident as that man.
You think we could do that? You think we could get away with that? We could have a Noah Lyles in sprints. You think somebody who is that outspoken, would it fit in swimming?
We can make it. We can make it happen. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there always has to be a first. That's why I say if there hasn't been one, there always has to be a first.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely on the extreme level. We've had some people, had some colorful people.
Oh yeah.
Gary Hall Jr. comes to mind for me, but yeah, I think that the 50 free final, the guys that were in that call room this time around, even James Gibson said there's a bunch of gentlemen in there, really nice guys, and they are great guys, and they work hard, but they're all friends and they're competing, but didn't seem like there was any animosity between any one of those guys at the 50 free this time around, did there?
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's cool. In terms of sprints, how did you progress your career in sprinting? I mean, sprinting's not really done much in high school, is it? Did you have sprinting going on in your program?
Not in club. No, I was actually before high school. I was a one back, two backstroker.
Yeah, me
So
too. I was too. Yeah, there
yeah.
we go. We got
So
something in common.
yeah, let's go. But no, it was till high school because my high school coach would like help with our club every now and then, and my club was big on 2IM breaststroke, the 200s basically. And then he looked at me, he was like, "No, you look like a sprint freestyler to me." So he kind of did his best with the abilities that he had to get me to where I was. So 20.1 in high school and a 44.2.
Wow.
So really appreciative of him. But then I didn't really make my gains until coming here to Bama with Margot and Coach Mike White's sprint style because it was really unique. And like this was the first time ever I had a pure 50 type workout. And I mean, freshman year, I was just really trying to get used to everything. But then last year, my sophomore year, especially with the add-on on Coach Mike, it was just like I boomed. Like it was just straight exponential growth for me.
Mm.
Um, this year was probably one of the first years I ever actually could say I felt my body in the water, and um, yeah, I was just like blown away. I'm like, wow, so this is what it feels like to be like knowing how like exactly what tempo in my head. Like I had a constant beep in my head of when I needed to know when to do each cycle. I could feel
Mm.
my kick count. Like all of these things were built up because of like the Bama Sprint program. So
Wow. Wow. That's really cool. I'm super interested in that. And you give me some ideas there on some of the things you're doing. But going back to high school, what was some of the differentiating factors between, training for your 200s to then what you said your club coach was, or your high school coach was doing with you, just to kind of get you a little bit more speed and doing some sprint freestyle?
really, it was just like constant race simulation, race pace style trading.
Mm.
Club, in my opinion, is all about just getting your aerobic conditioning up. I mean,
Right.
there's so many. I feel like when you're that young, there's no reason to specialize just yet. I mean, everyone needs some form of aerobic conditioning, But then once you get that older, once you get a little bit more into that puberty and stuff like that, you starting to gain some like build into your body and stuff like that. That's when you really figure out, all right, is this kid a sprinter? Does he have that fast twitch muscle that needs to really get off of those blocks? Does he have the power, the speed? Which, like, yeah, that's the biggest things, and I think that's what my high school coach saw in me, and so
What
he would
age was that, you
constantly.
think?
For me, it was my freshman year. I mean, because
So you're
I
around freshman year, you're around what, 15 years old, something like that?
15. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about 15. So,
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't the biggest 15-year-old at all. I was still a little scrawny. I didn't really gain any muscle until about my junior senior year. But that's also when I started doing weights too, my junior senior year. But yeah, it was just around that time he saw me and he was like, "You have too much spring and too much explosiveness to be doing a two backstroke." And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. So, like, we constantly worked on like improving my start. So I had one of the most explosive starts, push offs on the wall, and then just really working on like my stroke form. Because that's my biggest hindrance. Like stroke form, I would lose a bunch of water pulling when I was younger. And I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's definitely gone a lot farther than where it was. So, I mean, those little things are like things I wish coaches would have saw before, so then it could have helped me improve.
Yeah. Yeah. What'd you say his name was?
His name is Joe Hutch. Yeah.
Joe Hutch, man. Let's give Joe Hutch some love, man. That's awesome. Good. Seeing that, and I've been saying this for a while now, and I've just taken over a club team myself, so I got to put it into practice. But I could never fully understand why we couldn't identify kids a little bit younger than what we have. Like you said, club coaching that has just been, everybody swims 200s, everybody swims IM, everybody does every stroke, and that's okay up to a point. But why do we have to wait till they get to 18 and go to college to say, okay, now we can specialize a bit more? The fact that he recognized in you at 15, like, hey, this guy's got some spring, he's got some pop, he's got some power, he's got some speed. Why don't we start to work on it and just develop it a little bit more? Now you're in a situation in Alabama where you're one of the top sprinters in the country, which is great because he just identified that and it kept you in the sport, kept you engaged, kept you getting fast. So I just don't see why we can't do that at around 15, 16. you
No,
know?
totally, dude. Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you said at Alabama you've taken some strides, and especially this year. Tell us about some of the specific things that you're doing at Alabama.
Um, let's see here. There's a lot. I think one of the biggest things, especially long course. My short course season, I've had a couple of injuries, but I mean, before those injuries, we were really working on like just finer detail things, especially like starts, making sure like my hands
Hmm.
were completely cusped. Um, and then like my underwater to breakout was a real big thing with me, making sure like I had strong underwaters, but we were learning kick count because
Mm.
after I think we learned that I was doing maybe 6, 7, but I needed to drop it down to 5 because once I hit my 5 mark, we would pay attention and my speed like dramatically changed.
Mm.
So we would learn kick count, and then once we learned kick count, we would turn that into, all right, now how do we get you to come up to the water right when you hit surface tension and get a perfect breakout? So then that was the next thing. So it's like step by step. All right, you got your start down, you got your underwater down, we're getting your breakout, and then it's learning the turn, learning the second underwater, and it's just like step by step type stuff
Right.
to improve the 50. And then even long course was even more of like that, like getting that breakout down, getting your tempo down, learning how to really like know how to pull down within each stroke. Um, and then like the last 15, like we would notice um, just a breakdown of my stroke. So we would constantly do repetitions of 35s, like a couple of those. And then once I'm tired, it's like heads down, and we would do 15-meter finishes. So I know like that burn of the last 15 of a 50, and then I would have to hit the wall hard.
I love it. I love that specificity, man. Getting down to the fine details of this. Have you ever seen the movie Whiplash?
Yes, I
I
love it.
love that. I love that movie. Anytime anyone's speaking like you and talking about those little details, like I'm always reminded of that scene in Whiplash where he's like, he's getting him to get on beat, but he's getting him to, be perfect with his execution. It's like, hang on, no, I'm doing this right. And he's like, no, 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 you're not doing it right. You got to get it. And he's just like drilling him over and over and over again. It's like,
Yeah.
that to me is sprinting, like you think you're doing something well, and then you realize when it finally clicks too, like when you get that kick count down into that breakout and you pop, you're like, oh, okay, there it is. That's different,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. I love that execution, and it's really, to me, for a sprinter and a coach too, and for someone like you who's progressing through the years, it's almost a never ending, journey. Like I think Caeleb's still on it. I think Ben's still on it. I think Sarah Sostrom's still on it. Like these athletes who are at the top of their game, they're still trying to fine tune these details to get it to a point where they can find hundreds of seconds. Like they're dealing with margins that are hundreds of seconds between winning and losing. I think Cam and Ben, there was 5/100ths between gold and silver, right? Like that's nothing, but it's a huge difference between the results. So that's really what we're doing in sprinting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's always about the finer details, because I mean, one little miss up can change the difference between first and third. Like we constantly say every single day, like you gotta practice like you're racing, because if you're doing it in practice, that means you may do it in a race. Like whether you
Mm-hmm.
think, no, I'm gonna be in the zone while I'm racing, it's like, no, you're gonna race like how you practice. So if you're breathing in practice, you're probably gonna take a breath during the race,
Mm-hmm.
which means that one breath is taking you out of line, and taking you out of line can be the difference between, oh, you're in the lead, and, well, you just gave up a medaling spot. So
Yep. Yep. I love it, man. I love those details. And who did you look up to growing up? Like, who was your sprinter that you were kind of who made a first impression on you at a young age?
so that's a good one, because I had a lot of non-swimming motivation, like Kobe Bryant
Mm-hmm.
mentality. Mom, like, I have a huge poster of Kobe in my room. He was
Yeah, I
huge
got
to
the
me.
I
But
got the I got Mamba mentality tattooed on my chest
oh
right now,
yeah,
man.
I love that. Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
Um, but for swimming wise, what was it, 2008, watching Cullen Jones on that relay was a huge
Mm-hmm.
motivation for me. And then seeing Caleb Dressel just like destroy his field, that was also huge. But then it's just like, um, I would get motivated from seeing people at my swim meets. So when I was, I think, 14, I'm not sure if you know who this is, Giles Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, Okay, so I raced him at a couple of meets when I was around 14, 15 and stuff, and he was a real big motivation to me. He actually walked up and talked to me when I was a kid, because he saw I was doing good and stuff, and he was like, "Just keep it up, man." And just those little things, like you may not even be the biggest name in your platform, but someone sees like a really high elite athlete, and you just go to these little kids and say, keep up what you're doing, like that. I don't think people understand how far that goes in that kid's mind, because that
Mm-hmm.
took me like so many more miles than I probably could have without that.
Oh, props, Giles, man. Giles, good man. University of Arizona. He had some skills, man. He was good, free fly, uh, killer underwaters as well. But yeah, just a good person too. I can totally see Giles walking up to you and saying that, because that's just the type of guy he is, and he wants to have that influence on young kids, So that's super cool to hear. I guess as well as like being a kid of color, there's not many in the world of swimming. Like you can have an influence. What kind of influence do you think you could have on someone like yourself? In the future.
I feel like I want to have a huge. That's one of my main reasons why I still swim. My junior year, I kind of sat myself down and I'm like, why am I still swimming? It was like still my club in high school era. I'm like, am I really enjoying this still? And it
Mhm.
took like one talk with this grandma at my club to really understand what my purpose in this swim career was. And it was a grandma. She walked up to me after practice. It wasn't the best practice, so I was like, what is going on? But she walked up to me and goes, I just wanted to thank you because my grandson watched you race and saw you on the news or whatever it was and said, because of you, my kid wants to swim now and wants to learn how to swim, and I couldn't be more
Mm.
grateful. And that just kind of clicked in my mind. I was like, my purpose, in my opinion, is to help just not even just kids in general, but just like kids in general, but
Mhm.
priority kids of color, just like to help them be unique. Like I want to there to be more diversity in this sport. I grew
Mhm.
up in a state where I was the only kid of color for the most part on my club team. I was one of the only ones on my high school team. I can name you maybe two or three that made our state meet in high school and even here in Alabama. I mean, my freshman year, I was the only one. This my sophomore and junior year, we have four of us now. So that's the most kids I've ever had on a swim team I own is four. So and I
Wow.
can name you maybe with two hands how many others I know within the SEC or just NCAA in total. So I
Mhm.
mean, I
Yeah.
I want to see more diversity in this sport for sure.
Good for you, man. And you're doing good things. And I'm glad you're getting those motivations. And there's a reason why those people are coming up to you and saying that at that point in time. Look, I don't believe in chance necessarily. I think things happen for a reason, and you needed to hear that just as much as they needed to tell you that. So like it's kept you in this thing, it's kept you rolling, but you're going great places and you're doing great things. I mean, you just competed at the Olympic trials, man, and that is the biggest platform, or probably the second biggest platform you can have, other than going to the Olympics. So, do you have Olympic aspirations? Do you think you want to aim for LA in 28?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know it's hard for people to say like, "Oh, you got an ego thinking like you maybe no." It's that I feel like I have the confidence to put in the work to go to trials,
Hmm.
but I mean the Olympics in LA. But at the same time, I'm not going to be disappointed if it doesn't happen because my main objective is not necessarily be on the biggest platform, but to encourage people around you to reach the best you that you can be. And
Hmm.
what if that means me making the Olympics? That's what it has to take. So be it. I'll do it just for the community to become greater.
Oh, good for you, man. I love to hear that. Now, the way that we connected is you reached out on social media, and I got to know you a little bit through some of the stuff you're doing on the social side. But you had some questions, and you said that you were starting a podcast. What's going on with that?
Yeah. So like kind of just going further on about what we were just talking about. I have been working on making a new kind of like started with swim caps, but I'm like I can go a lot further with this. So I made my nickname throughout life was called Frozone because of one, I used to wear those blue tinted goggles, had a white cap because our club or our high school team was white and blue. So people would always call me Frozone. And I started this business called Froze One, and there's a slash in the one because I wanted people to know our slogan is more than one. There's more than one people fighting diversity in this sport. There's more than one person fighting something and fighting for something that they love. So that was kind of the main objective of this is to have something that you can wear to represent that you are more than one. And
Mm.
the podcast is essentially having those people of diversity, whether it's color, whether it's other stuff. Like I wanted some of the very first influencers on like YouTube or like even like podcast stuff to come on and like really talk about their life experiences and what drove them to really push for what they wanted because I'm a big advocate for it. You don't have to be the biggest person to start change. I
Hmm.
mean, if I was If that was the case, I definitely would not be doing this. But I have the idea and the mindset to make a difference, so I want to push that too.
I love it, man. Good stuff. Have you started recording yet? Doing any podcasting?
I have not. I mean, I've had experience with like videos and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I have a couple people lined up in the near future. I'm not going to spoil that just because.
Hmm.
But we got I got some good stuff coming in the near future.
Well, good. I love it, man. I've got some connections. If you need some help on that end of it,
Oh yeah.
can certainly set you up with some people for sure. Really good people. But so the idea then is it going to be audio, video? How are you going to set the podcast up? Like, what's your idea behind kind of getting this thing up and running and functional and thriving? You know?
I kind of want to do something like similar to this, like have the video. We'll have like clips that can the main video. I'm gonna have a YouTube so everyone can watch the full like
Uh-huh.
recording of the podcast on
Right.
YouTube. That's already set up. There's just no videos, but then hopefully figure out a way whether it's I ask for someone's help or I'm decent at editing, so hopefully I can edit them or cut them myself, but then have cuts so I can have the real important and real meaty stuff, the things that the people would enjoy listening to, put that on social media, put that on the YouTube shorts and stuff like that so people can really understand like what this is about.
I love it. And then what will be your theme? Like, how will you approach it, you think? Are you going to be more just kind of conversational? Are you going to be like, here's a set of questions? Or, how would you approach kind of getting the content?
You know, it's always yeah. Maybe have a piece of paper. Like I'm assuming you have like a couple of questions, but at the same time, you know go off the rail. Like if there was something you want to go more in depth, like really just like talk to talk, like barbershop talk, honestly, but
Hmm.
through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. My approach to this is kind of just ask some questions which you know leading questions that might lead into getting an answer out of something, and then once you get that answer and then lean into that, and kind of just it's like that web effect, like you start in the middle and then it kind of branches out. That's kind of always been my way of doing it. I've never loved sticking to a script because then what I find is I'm looking down at the paper trying to figure out what's the next question, where do I want to go while you're talking, right? And that's taking away my attention to what you're saying. I might miss a nugget of like, hey, we should go down that direction instead of like sitting in my paper and missing something completely. So I like
Totally,
that idea of that barbershop, just kind of having conversation and letting see where it goes.
totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good luck with all that stuff, man. And like I said, I'm certainly a resource if you need me. I'm here to help in any way I can. I'd actually like to pass this on. I'd like to pass the torch on to people like you. Like I think I started this thing 4.5 years ago now, and I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I've done a lot. I've done enough in some respects. I'd like to pass it on to a younger generation of just killers like you who just want to take it in a new direction. And so yeah, I'm here to serve and help in any way I can, and maybe even pass on the torch eventually.
Oh yeah, dude. It's blessed to hear that. I've been watching your stuff for like years on end now, and then once I start this stuff to hear it from someone like you, it's
Yeah, I've got a partner, Nate, as well. Nate does all the editing, he does all the sponsorship side of things as well, so he's a great resource as well. So we'll get you connected with him. But listen, man,
sweet.
sounds like you got a big season coming up at Alabama. What about the team goals? You guys got something you know big you want to aim at?
Be better. I mean, that's the end goal for all of us. I mean, uh, we know what we did last year. We know what we can improve on from last year, and the only thing that we can do right now is go up. I mean, we have some dogs coming in, bunch of freshmen, huge, some freaking fast freshmen, and then we
Yeah.
got transfers. We have the 50 free D2 champion
Mm,
Kyle coming in. He goes I think 19-2 off a flat.
yeah.
So that's going to be huge. And then we have a bunch of other people. We have a Croatian's name's Tony. He's my class. I want to say 132 2 free short course yards. I mean,
Wow.
he just swam a 48, I think, high 48.8 at some meet over the summer. So I mean, he's we got some dogs coming in. All I'm gonna say. So anyone
Yeah.
that's like questioning Alabama, I'm just like, yeah, I would hold off on that for now.
I love it, man. I love that. And you guys have some competition coming into the SEC too. Oh, and a bunch of new teams, eh?
Yeah, Texas and Oklahoma, which I mean, Oklahoma doesn't have a swim team, but either way, that just makes us better because iron sharpens iron. So that's just gonna make us have to work twice as hard now.
Now, what about the football team in Alabama, man? Are they going to take another run at the national championship? Are they good again?
Oh, we've been good, man. It's just like people think because you're not at the top of the podium, you're not still there. But I think everyone forgets like just because Nick Saban gone, don't mean Alabama ain't Alabama. And I mean, I ain't gonna spoil it, but I mean the way that Coach DeBoer has been and a whole new coaching staff has been getting these boys ready. Ooh, yeah, I'm excited for these. I'm excited for these football games and just watch them, man.
Yeah, you guys have some of the biggest football games in the world in Alabama. That stadium's electric, and just every weekend it's just pumping. So yeah,
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we gotta get you down here, man. Coach actually texted me because I told her that I was having this. She said, tell that man Brett to get his butt down here. We need him to come down here.
I'd like to, man. I'd like to come down and just observe and also give some thoughts. But yeah, you guys have got it handled. You're doing some good stuff, and Margot's amazing. But yeah, I'd love to come visit sometime, and especially around a football game weekend. That'd be cool to go to a game as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely
Hook
hit
it
your
up.
line and see
Yeah.
what we can do.
All right, Drayden, it's been nice getting to know you more, man, and good luck with everything. Sounds like you got your head on straight, man. You got a good team, good people around you, and some good things happening. So we'll keep an eye on you for sure, man. And where can people follow you if they want to hit the follow button?
My main line is on Instagram, Drayden.Bell, and then I also got a YouTube channel that's also I think it's also just Drayden.Bell. Keep them all pretty normal. And then if you want to follow the main account on the Froze One, that's just Froze1_swim on Instagram.
Cool. Love it. Good stuff, man. Thanks for doing this, and good luck with everything. All right.
All right, sounds good.
Cheers, man. Take care.
Take care.